Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show again. Today, really exciting episode, something that it's pioneer, something visionary. Today, we are talking about PALAU ID. What's this e-residency program? And to talk about that, we have here Anson. J. Hunter Anson, he's the Digital Residency Office Director. He's also the Palau Ministry of Finance. He's working on the fintech, cybersecurity, cybercrime sites. And cool fact about what they are building in Palau, this residency, is that, for example, Team Dropper, Vitalik from the Ethereum blockchain is part of this. They are Palau residents. Also, they are backed by CZ of Binance, the CEO and founder of Binance. So it's a really solid project. When I saw it, it's like, wow, this is really exciting, a country that works with a blockchain. So yeah, we're gonna solve all the questions that I've been asked, that you've sent on social media. And yeah, with this said, welcome to the show, Jay. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Good morning. Thanks for having me on and giving me the opportunity to highlight the program. It's a very exciting time, and looking forward to your questions.
Yes. Questions from me, questions from mainly global citizens, sovereign individuals that want to diversify, that always like to see what's out there. This program, when I check the page, the FAQ, it's like very solid. You have benefits like banking, you have this virtual address as well. I saw like what else? Remote notarization, apostille, virtual private networks. You have a lot of benefits on this program. What's the one that makes you the most excited, that you believe it's one key difference from other e-residency programs, like, for example, Estonian or other countries? What's different about Palau?
So the services you mentioned, they're mostly on our roadmap still, and so we're working. And I always say we're working at the speed of government to get those activated. Palau does have a very rigorous process for review and regulatory compliance to make sure that the government and the program itself is protected. I think the ones that I'm probably most excited about seeing come to fruition is definitely the physical address for each digital resident and the mail forwarding service. Palau has a U.S. Zip coded post office, so there's some places where you can't order things from U.S. online websites and have them delivered to your address. So what we're offering is a way to have those packages, first class packages and mail, sent to the digital residency program box in Palau, and we'll forward them to the digital residence address. So between that and we're just working on a lot of different things. The apostille, digital online notary, and corporate registry, digital banking. A lot of it is driving Palau's government also to innovate and develop regulations and laws to support those efforts.
Yes, I saw the roadmap. It's very exciting what's coming, but let's go a bit back. When did this start, and how did you get involved with this residency program?
So it really started, during the COVID pandemic and the lockdowns. Palau immediately closed its borders in April, late March, early April of 2020, and when it did so, the primary source of revenue for the island was tourism. So as you can imagine, between 50 and 75,000 tourists every year was driving a lot of the economy. and that was turned off for 2 years. I'm sorry, I said 2020. It was actually 2019. So when that was turned off, the Palau government and the president and the Congress, they started looking at different ways to diversify the economy, and different ways to bolster the economic security, so that, one, it was a way to help the economy recover while the tourism industry was also recovering, and then also secure at least some revenue if a pandemic or a lockdown were to happen again in the future, so that they're not just overly dependent on tourism. So when the new president took office, he started, he's very business savvy, and forward thinking, and so he started looking across the blockchain industry to see what types of innovations and things were out there, and he looked at the Estonia Digital Residency program, or e-residency program, and the Palau, the original Palau laws and model and operating agreement was based on the e-residency program of Estonia. So, coupled with what Palau had for laws and regulations at the time, we created a law that was passed in December of 2021. The office was established shortly thereafter. We started signing up the first digital residents in February of last year, and then I joined the program in June of last year.
And what's the role, like? What's the position they wanted to have, for you to have in that?
So yeah, as the
yes.
director, so I have very limited finance or fintech, Web3, blockchain background and experience. I've worked on a few projects before that, mostly exploring the use of the blockchain and NFTs to, not to sell art, but use them as like certificates of authenticity, or really like diving into what you can do with smart contracts, things of that nature. My background is really in cybersecurity, governance, compliance, and risk management. And so when the Minister of Finance was looking for a director, he kind of understood the lay of the land, right? So at that time, a lot of other countries, such as El Salvador, adopting Bitcoin, Estonia's e-residency program, they're very, very scrutinized. And then on top of that, there was a lot of regulatory concerns, and people wanted to wait. What are the regulations going to look like? What are the risks? And so, my background in cybersecurity and risk and compliance really just fit the bill for what he wanted. And so when I started in June, just started digging into the digital residency law and the operating agreement. We're outsourced the work. We've outsourced the work to Cryptic Labs. They're a California-based company, and we have an operating agreement in place. So it was really just working with their executives to make sure that we're following the laws, and we're following the operating agreement requirements, and then identifying what regulations we needed to develop between the two of us to move the program forward.
And what made you want to use the blockchain as a way? Because this is very pioneer. It's like you're the first country, right?
Yes.
Implementing the blockchain.
Yeah. No. So the blockchain was really, just looking at the security of it, the distributed ledger. It was just, and it's new and it's innovative, and a lot of people were not using it for use case. The mainstream media, the headlines are always dominated by non-fungible tokens. One token sold for $2 million or whatever, or the cryptocurrency market and how volatile it is. So we're not trading any cryptocurrency. We're not doing anything like that at all. We're using the technology of the blockchain to make sure that the digital residents' information, their transactions, their legal identity backed by the Palauan government is secure. It's in a secure location, it's non-refutable, and can be attributed back to the government of Palau for legitimacy.
Nice. To the government of Palau, and also with the other governments, the other jurisdictions that work close with Palau, for example, the US, right? Is there any exchange of information? I understand with the US, I don't know if it's the FATCA or any other information exchange going on.
So Palau does use the US dollar. We don't have a central bank. And so, everything we do in the financial sector, we have to follow the US laws to make sure that the value of the dollar is protected, and things of that nature. But beyond that, it's really, the FATCA rules apply as they would to anywhere else. So Palau does not have a foreign bank, a U.S. citizen going to Palau. There's U.S. branches. So there's Bank of Hawaii, Bank of Guam. There used to be Bank of America. So it's you're not opening a foreign bank account in Palau. You're opening a U.S. bank account at a branch in Palau. So it's a lot easier to use. Plus, there's very, very robust fiber optic cable connectivity and bandwidth and broadband service. So if you're in Palau and you want to keep your bank in Mexico or the US or wherever, all you need is an internet connection, and you can keep banking online with your bank. I do that here in the US. I think I've gone to an ATM maybe 5 times in the last 5 years that I've lived in South Florida. So no, it's very convenient. Ever since they put in the fiber optic cable and just increased the connectivity. And there's a second fiber optic cable that's being laid right now from Singapore to Palau. So that'll provide some redundancy. There's millions of dollars from the U.S. Department of Interior that's been given to Palau in the form of grants to improve and extend the fiber optic ring that goes around the island, the main islands, and also to update and upgrade their broadband mobile core network for the cellular network. So a lot of great developments, and it's really just a lot of efforts to modernize the communications infrastructure and make sure that when people are in Palau, they can be connected just as if they're anywhere else in the world.
Sounds like a dream for all the digital nomads, global citizens, right? It's like all the
definitely, absolutely
being developed. Because just to locate people, the audience that they are listening, where is Palau? Where is Palau? Okay, just to give you an idea, checking here on the map, the most accurate would be like position yourself in Australia, go with north, Philippines, go east, right? Yes. And then, as you mentioned, Guam is like, what's Guam? Guam is another island which is close to Palau, where you were mentioning the branches, right? That Guam banks in Palau, and Palau it's there in the middle, so people can check it out. But as a rough idea, it's there. So, for example, is 11 hours right ahead of Miami time for the time.
Yes, right now it's 11 hours.
Yes. Yes. So to give an estimation of what they can expect if they go and visit Palau, because one of the questions, or something that I really looked, for where is how easy or how convenient it is to get this e-residency in Palau. Do I need to fly there, or is it something I can do completely remotely?
No, the application, background checks, the documentation requirement, everything is done completely online, and that's one of the beauties of using the blockchain. Is it's not something, even if you were to a lot of other countries with their visa programs where you mail documents, paper copies of your documents can get intercepted, they can get lost. For example, my wife's a Colombian citizen, so here in the U.S. we do file joint taxes, and to get her tax identification number, we had to send her Colombian passport to the IRS, and neither of us had a good feeling doing that at all. And then, because it was her number one form of ID here in the United States. We got it back with the taxpayer ID number, I think almost 3 months later. So it was a pretty nervous time, no communication with the IRS of where we're at in the process. Where's her passport? Is she going to get it back? But with the RNS ID, she's also a PALAU Digital Resident. It took about 3 weeks for the whole process. We used the KYC AML software to upload her photos, photo of her passport. Then they looked in the different databases to see if she was involved with anti-money laundering or anything of that nature, and she was not. So she's a digital resident, and we have her passport, her biometric data, all of that stuff is stored in the blockchain. So if we ever have to verify her identity, it's right there.
Boom. Boom.
That's it.
So from end to end, like start to finish, how much did it take her?
3 weeks, including mailing the ID card. And so for some people it varies.
Yeah.
But 6 to 8 weeks is probably the longest it'll take, depending on where you're at in the world, and how long it takes DHL or FedEx to find you.
Yeah.
And get the ID card into your hand.
Yeah. Okay, we are talking about the ID card now, because when I read this the first time, honestly, Jay, the first time I checked this, is like, this sounds very good. I'm not going to say too good, but it's like very, very, very good, because let's read exactly what you have, the RNS website. Okay, they can find it on rns.id, okay, or docs.rns.id. They're going to find all the information there. I'm also going to link it here down this episode. It says, what is PALAU ID? PALAU ID is a sovereignty-backed Web3 ID. It's a legal ID that can be used for identity verification, such as KYC with crypto exchanges, banks, other institutions like Airbnb, hotel check-ins, domestic flight check-ins, membership sign-ups, and registration. Look at that, for PALAU digital corporations with 0% tax. This sounds very good. Yes. You know that, right?
Yes.
So tell us a bit more of this benefit. For example, I'm looking at this PALAU digital corporation with 0% tax. How does that work?
So right now there's a bill being developed for a corporate registry, and again, we want to leverage the security and the reliability of the blockchain to do this. There was a bill that was introduced about the same time as the digital residency bill, but it was not voted through by the Congress. It was modeled after the U.S. state of Delaware's laws, and that led to a lot of problems in the financial and corporate sector with tax evasion and shell companies and things of that nature. So the Congress gave it back to the president, said, "Hey, we need you to tweak this a little bit more and put in Palau's current AML KYC laws and regulations, make sure that those are in place and considered and supported, and then resubmit it, and they'll take another look." So the president's office, they hired some more attorneys with experience in the space, and I was involved probably for about a month, just as from the standpoint of, is this something that can be done and verified in the blockchain? And it is. You'll just have a ledger, same as we have the digital resident information in the blockchain. We'll have those corporations' information stored and secured in the blockchain. So it's a know your business type program where we can verify to other businesses that this company is not a shell company. It's a legit company. Here's all of their credentials. It's stored. It's secure. It's legitimate here in the blockchain.
So you will only accept companies that are running a business. So not like a ghost company or a shell company.
Correct. Exactly.
That would be the requirement, that it's an operating business that wants to be incorporated in Palau.
Yes. And so those corporations, they will pay a fee to register, but they're like the money they make doing business isn't taxed. It would be the same as any non-Palauan who goes to Palau as a digital nomad. If you want to stay there for 6 months to a year, whatever your passport allows, then but you're keeping your job and you're working remotely online in the United States, or your job is in Germany or Colombia, Mexico, Brazil, none of your income is taxed by the Palauan government. It's yours to keep, and you just have to pay attention to your visa allowances and length of stay. And other than that, no one's going to bother you. I already talked about the telecommunications infrastructure. It's very reliable and pretty robust. They do have a lot of expat groups that meet and share ideas, and so you have the social aspect there. Crime is very low. There's no guns are allowed in Palau except for the police. What else? The food is great. If you like scuba diving is great. If you don't like scuba diving, hanging out in a hotel with beautiful paradise views is great. So there's a lot of activity for everyone. And then if you want to get off island for a little bit, all of the major cities in Asia are 4 to 5 hour flight, and you're there. Seoul, South Korea, Singapore, Taipei, you name it. And we've just opened up more flights as well. It used to be the United Airlines flight between. It was kind of a rotator. It would leave Guam to Palau, go to Manila, Philippines, and then come back twice a week. But now we have Taipei, Taiwan. China Airlines has reopened their route from Taipei to Palau directly, and then there's a flight that starts on the 28th of this month from Brisbane, Australia, to Port Moresby in Papua New Guinea, and then to Palau and back, and that's going to run once a week.
Incredible.
So there's a lot of opportunities to base out of Palau, and if you like to travel, explore the region. If you want to do business in Asia and you're looking to expand, Palau is a great place to base out of and do that.
Mm-hmm. So Palau is this place that when you put the name Palau, images it's like, damn, this looks like a wallpaper. You know, it's the wallpaper that you want to have on your computer. I was checking some pictures, like, wait, I saw this. I checked this on wallpaper, you know, for myself. It's very familiar. It's very beautiful, like turquoise waters, like these islands. It's really beautiful.
It's very photogenic, and the
Very.
waters are really that clean and that clear. Palau was the first country to enact a national marine sanctuary where 80% of their economic exclusion zone is protected. It's a no-take, so there's no commercial fishing, there's no local fishing. It's protected. On top of that, they've done a lot of put a lot of effort into environmental conservation. There's a pristine Palau paradise environmental fee that and a pledge that tourists you pay a fee. It's baked into the cost of your plane ticket, but when you arrive in Palau, it's similar to what the Galapagos Islands does in Ecuador, where you sign a pledge that, hey, I'm coming in here. I'm going to be responsible. I'm not going to trash your island. I'm going to respect it, and I'm going to do my part to make sure that it's preserved for other people to come and enjoy. So Palau has come a long way in that regard. And it's really clean. I mean, compared to when I was growing up there, you don't see hardly any trash on the road. You don't see trash. You'll see trash floating in the ocean, but we say it's coming from, outside. It's a big ocean, but there's a lot of effort to clean that up too. And so Palau is, it's really tiny as far as land mass on a map. Maybe 400 square kilometers, but the economic exclusion zone of Palau reaches 300 miles from shore out. So really, that's Palau, the ocean. It's oceanic, it's marine focused. So you have to kind of look at it that way, and just the possibilities so you can't fish in the marine sanctuary, but you can dive, you can boat, you can go out and enjoy all the other activities that you want, and just see it's also it was one of the first shark sanctuaries, so it protects, there's no finning, there's no fishing of sharks or anything like that, and it's a turtle conservatory, sea turtle conservatory, all of that. So it's, if you're a scuba diver or it's just a snorkeler, as soon as you get in the water in Palau, you're guaranteed to see sharks, turtles, all kinds of. There's 1,400 different types of marine life. There's a section of Palau, the South Lagoon Rock Islands. It's a UNESCO protected area. It's registered with the United Nations. What else? There's Jellyfish Lake, the famous lake inside of one of the rock islands that's open to tourists. You can non-stinging jellyfish, millions of them. Great Instagram opportunity, or just it's really, really cool. And Palau's, it's the 7th underwater wonder of the world, after, oh my gosh, I can't name the other 6. I know the Great Mayan Reef in Mexico is one of them. The Marianas Trench in Guam. So it's really great. I mean, for diving, for marine life, and it's very peaceful. It's like any it's just like island life. Without the tourist trap feeling. That someone's always trying to come up and sell you something or take something from you. No, the Palauans are very proud of their island, and we're very proud of what it has to offer. And we love when tourists and digital nomads come and they stay. So it's it's a great opportunity in that regard, beyond the digital residency program.
Yes, this episode is like can be titled the no-brainer e-residency. Like get it because it's like full of advantages. It's like full, really safety. By the way, safety in Palau, is it? How is it?
It's very safe. No, the
Okay.
crime rate is very low. The statistics are on the website. There's hardly any violent crime as you would find in major cities or other places. Tourists, I've it's been years since I've heard of a tourist or a visitor to Palau getting robbed or assaulted or anything like that. No, everyone's
Mhm.
very it's island life. It's so I mean I think the closest in terms of Mexico that I've seen is probably like Cozumel, where it's just beautiful, it's pristine, people are really chill, and there's like a lot of stuff to do if you just like to relax and enjoy life. Palau's the place.
Yes. So the main one is internet speed. We already mentioned it. Safety is the
Yes.
other big question, and the third one is cost of living. What
Yes.
can somebody expect living there in Palau?
Cost of living is very low. Really, the electricity and water is relatively inexpensive, especially if your wages are like you keep your job and you're a digital nomad and you're teleworking. Your money will go a long way in Palau. Cost of
Like
a
rent, food,
a nice two-bedroom
such.
apartment is probably $1,200 a month
Three
or
bedroom?
less. There's Airbnb available. There's cars are relatively inexpensive. There's a public transportation as well, bus service. But I mean, everything's really depending on where you're at, it's walking distance to everything.
Yeah, nice. So you have that standard quality of life. You also have the premium lifestyle there in Palau. Like, do you have high-end buildings, high-end, places people can go if they want more luxury, or is it something
Yes. So
might come
yeah,
more in the
we're
future?
working on that now. A lot of things slowed down, especially with construction, when because of the pandemic and the borders were closed. So the borders were closed between it was March of 2019, and they reopened July of 2021. So during that period, nothing was there was some shipping stuff that was allowed, but no people. No one was leaving Palau. No one was coming in. And there was a flight, I think once a week, that would bring medical supplies and essentials. So things kind of just, were in a standstill, as a lot of the rest of the world was during that time. So they're slowly getting things going, and there's a lot of effort to modernize. So there were a lot of hotels that were opened just before the pandemic that sat and kind of deteriorated because of the tropical weather and everything. So there's a revitalization effort with those to convert them into high-end apartments and luxury type living. So yeah, I guess the short answer is yes, and great things going in the future once we get more participation in the tourist industry recovers.
Totally, totally. So somebody loves living there in Palau. Do they get an extent to the time they can be there if they get the e-residency, regardless of their
Well,
passport?
I do. I'm working on a regulation or an amendment to the current immigration regulation to allow so we've come to, we looked at a couple of different things, either reducing the cost of applying for an extension. We looked at 3 90-day consecutive extensions if they want to do that. but then we arrived at, hey, just let's make it, 180 days from the end of their normal visa expiration. They just have to go to the immigration office and apply for it. And as long as they're in good standing with the government, it's a no-brainer. They'll be extended for 180 days.
Beautiful.
Beyond that, they probably will have to leave and come back if they want to stay longer. But we're looking at that. We're looking at what the demand is like, and what pops up. A lot of people, they're digital nomads. So Palau has the total population, I think, is almost 22,000 right now, and only 18,000 of them are Palauans. The rest are expatriates. They're digital nomads who live and work in Palau, either for the Palauan government or a company somewhere else, but they just stay in Palau. And then, every now and then they'll restart their visa and travel back to the US or whatever, visit family for a month, and then they'll come back to Palau and start the clock over again. Yeah. The Compact of Free Association with the United States allows Americans to go back and forth at will. Same thing with Palauans. Palauans are able to go to the US and work and live in free association. So, with that, there are actually more Palauans living outside of outside of Palau than there are living in Palau now. So there's a huge effort on the part of the Palau government to raise the quality of life and the amount of opportunities and to attract Palauans to come back home and live and work in Palau. And so I'm one of them. I mean, I've been away from the island I moved away in 1989. There was a lot of bad things going on with the government and the country at that time. So I left. My mom actually sent me away. I've been back to visit, but things are at a point now where I feel comfortable moving back there with my family.
Beautiful, because you were born in Palau?
Yes. Yeah, I was born in Palau.
Okay. Wow. Native. Very good. So, question about taxes, because we talked about the digital corporation, which is 0% tax. What if somebody stays in Palau more than 183 days and they, in theory, become a Palau tax resident at a personal level? Is there any tax at the personal level, if that's the case?
No, the Palauan government will not tax you unless you're working for the Palau government or a Palau business. Your income is not taxed, no matter how long you stay in Palau.
So literally, you go there and you pay 0% taxes very easily.
Correct. Yeah, you have to pay taxes to your country if that your host country.
Well, yeah, but if you move your tax residency,
yeah,
moving from the country there.
So countries like the U.S., they'll still tax you, even if you're living in Palau. But if you establish, if you have a mailing address and things like that, and I mean, you won't pay your state tax because you're not living in any of the states. So there's different ways to find exemptions. Sure. Corporations like U.S. corporations incorporating in Palau, they have to pay, what is it, 13% in the U.S. But the corporate tax rate in Palau for a Palau corporation is only 4%. So you pay the 4% Palau tax, and then you have to pay the difference to the United States. That's just for U.S. corporations. So if you're from a country that doesn't tax your corporation, if it's registered outside of the country, it's very beneficial for you, and the tax rate is very low. So it's possible to incorporate. So what we were trying to do with the corporate registry is attract businesses, but we want to show that we have a legitimate way of tracking them and verifying that they are a valid corporation actually doing business, and they're not looking just for a tax shelter or a way to evade their government's regulations and different compliance.
Mm-hmm. Would it be similar to the Dubai 0% tax corporations that you can set up in the UAE?
That's what we're looking at. So my boss, the Minister of Finance, and the President, they spent almost 2 weeks in the Middle East, in the UAE, Dubai, talking to business partners there, talking to the government entities to figure out, how are they doing it, and how are they doing it and maintaining their legitimacy and their reputation in the world, because Palau has a really great reputation. With the ocean conservation. They're a fully chartered member of the United Nations, even though they're very small. But we need to protect that, and if we lose our reputation or lose our like the way we stay compliant with the different international laws and stuff, it could jeopardize that membership. It could jeopardize the way people want to do business with Palau. So we're very cognizant of that, and we try to make sure that we're following the rules while we're innovating and trying to create new things.
So as a recap of everything we've talked about, like putting the pieces together, giving the example of your Colombian wife, somebody can come in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maximum 6 to 8 weeks. They can get the PALAU ID, the e-residency. They can do it completely remotely. They don't need to travel to Palau at any time.
No.
Then they could create the digital 0% tax corporation. That could be done as well remotely.
Yes.
Boom. And then they might want
no need to travel and spend money to go and apply for something that you may or may not get. You'll know from the comfort of your home. You can do all of it.
So the corporation, how much time can it take? After, is it recommended to do it after the ID, Jay?
So the ID will help, like digital residency will help get you. What we're looking at is kind of a prioritization of applications. Where we're at with the corporate registry process, though, is we're still there. The lawyers are still writing the bill, so it hasn't been passed by Congress yet. Once the bill is passed, then we'll look at the different regulations. The other thing with corporate registry is the PALAU doesn't have a digital assets regulation right now, and so the Financial Intelligence Unit and Financial Institutions Commission, they're writing that. They're in the process of drafting the regulation now, and then there's a what do you call? They call it a promulgation process. That takes 30 to 60 days. So what they do is it's pretty interesting. So for all regulations are signed by the president. All government regulations. It seems kind of high level, but that's it's a small government, so he's able to do that. And what they do is once you write the regulation and it's approved by your ministry or your government agency, it goes into a process where it is advertised to the general public. It's read over the radio station verbatim. It's posted on different sites. It's published in the Palau newspapers, and then every citizen has the opportunity to provide feedback on the draft of the regulation. So there's a 30-day period where it's open for comments, and then those comments are digested and incorporated into the regulation as appropriate. So sometimes you get really, really great feedback, and so it's a way for true democracy, true buy-in of all the people in Palau into every law, every regulation that is passed. and put into effect and signed by the president of the country. So, given that, that's why I say, we're working at the speed of government. I get a regulation drafted, and then I have to staff it with all of the stakeholders of government. And just it's constantly following up, like, have you read it? What do you think? Give me feedback. I incorporate it, get it to the next person until, it ultimately goes to my boss, the Minister of Finance. And when he's good with it, it gets his seal, and then it goes into that 30-day process to get feedback from the population, from the citizens.
From citizens, not residents, but just citizens.
Yes.
Correct. Because is it, a small parenthesis here, the bracket, is it possible to get citizenship in Palau after some period of time, or is there a possibility to get Palau passport?
Right now, no. So they've had some. So they've looked at it, right? There's been several amendments to the Constitution to define who can be a citizen. Originally, it was so the country formed in I think the Constitution passed sometime in the late 80s or early 90s. And the requirement was, okay, you have until this date to declare, are you a Palau citizen or a citizen of somewhere else? If you're a citizen of somewhere else, you cannot have a Palauan passport. You're not considered a Palauan citizen. And then, there were a couple of amendments to the language. And then in 2008, they amended the Constitution to say if you have Palauan blood from one or both parents at all, you have Palauan citizenship. So it was another an effort to encourage Palauans to return to Palau. Okay, the government isn't cutting you off anymore. You can come and you're good. You're considered a Palauan. So as of 2008, I was a Palauan citizen again.
Beautiful.
Along with many others.
Yeah.
But so the program we have, I think we just went over 3,800 digital residents now, and I always say, if we get to 80,000, right, that's 4 times the population of Palau. If we get to 80,000, like the e-residency program of Estonia, those 80,000 or however many digital residents will have a voice, and they'll be able to say, hey, Mr. President, Congress of Palau, we're investing in Palau. We love the program. Is there a way, would you consider a path to citizenship for digital residents who've been participating in the program? That's absolutely possible.
Yes, that was my next question. How do you see it evolving? Because among all these digital nomads, global citizens, most of us, we are interested in diversifying, right? And having these multiple passports that open doors. So that would be, even if it's already a no-brainer, this program, the ID and the residency, that would be like, if it has a path to citizenship,
the next step,
that would be like, give me for all my family and all my friends, like I'm giving Palau residency to everybody.
Right. Yeah. And the Palau passport, it's one of the few passports, because of the Compact of Free Association with the United States, that and their membership in the United Nations, that Palauans can travel with their Palauan passport pretty much anywhere in the world, and vice versa. So Palau, it's a on arrival visa. You don't have to do any kind of paperwork ahead of time to travel to Palau. You arrive there, you show your passport, and they'll let you know how long your stay is, and it varies from Japanese passport holders can stay for 30 days to European Union passport holders 90 days and so forth. So there's no, and it was great for my wife. She's Colombian. It's one of the few countries that don't require her to mail her passport to the embassy and wait to see if you get a visa. She can go and visa on arrival. So that's great. And then if you're a digital resident, once the regulation is approved, we're almost at that point where it's going to go into that 30-day window for public review. Once that's done, then it's a 180-day extension. So if you get to Palau and you liked it, you want to make the most of the cost of the plane ticket that got you there. You stay 6 more months, enjoy paradise, and keep your day job.
Exactly.
You probably have to stay up a little late, depending on where your day job is, but it's totally worth it.
Which you said extension, which means 30. Case of Japan, 30 plus 180, or European Union 90
yes.
plus 180.
No, 30 plus 180.
Yes, correct. And then European Union 90 plus 180.
Plus 180.
So it means like you can live there pretty much, over half of the year, which is excellent.
Yes. Yep.
Yes, that's awesome. Another question, honestly, that I get when everything that you shared so far, it's as well aligned with everything on the website, and adding more information is like, okay, it's a no-brainer. Like, should anybody not get the PALAU e-residency? And that's a genuine question. Is there any conflict, or is there any like type of individual who wouldn't benefit from that you are aware of?
So I would say right now, if you're a U.S. citizen, there's probably not a benefit, because the Compact of Free Association, you can stay, you can travel to Palau, you can stay in Palau as long as you want. The banks are U.S. banks there. The U.S. ID cards and things of that nature, passports are pretty. They're widely accepted. But any other country, especially countries where you don't enjoy the same economic freedoms as other nations, if it's a simple thing like you want to go on Amazon and order something, but you can't because it doesn't take your Brazilian address or your Colombian address, or it's too cost too much, and it's a first class size package, then you can definitely benefit from the ancillary services that we're starting up. If you want to do business on the crypto exchanges, but you're from China and your Chinese passport doesn't allow you to authenticate and register on those exchanges, you can benefit with the Palau Digital Resident ID card. It's accepted on the Binance exchange. The Ethereum accepts it. There's a list of other exchanges that accept it, listed on the website. So in terms of operating in the blockchain and cryptocurrency space, absolutely a lot of benefits there. And then once we get more of the regulations promulgated and approved, you'll start to see the ability for digital residents to take advantage of government programs in Palau, which there's a lot. It's just they're not open to the digital residents yet, and we're working on that. So it all depends on the participation and success of the program.
Yeah, that's very exciting, and especially the crypto exchanges. One of the things is, both on a personal level, I understand that's the easiest with the ID card because it's tied to your passport, to your person, right? But also, is it possible with the Palau Digital Corporation to enter that information in an exchange and have a corporate crypto account in
that's
finance,
where we want to go. Yes, that's the direction we want to go with the corporate registry and the know your business aspect of it.
Yeah, not yet, but
not yet. But the bill is almost ready for the Congress. I think their next they convene in April, so that's the target date to get the new law before them.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And after all these questions, the very next one is, how can somebody listening be like, okay, I'm doing it. How can I start? What's the first step?
Definitely. Just go to the rns.id. That's the website name. And a lot of great instructional videos. There's frequently asked questions. The process, I watched my wife go through it. It's very, very easy. Again, just, you take some selfies of yourself, pictures of your government ID, upload it to the AML KYC software, and then pay the application fee. The application fee is only $248 now. Maybe it's $248 per year. There's also 5-year and 10-year subscriptions if you want to do that. But test drive it for a year and see how you like it. And this is definitely a good time, because we're very, very grateful for the early adopters, the ones that went first and said, no, I want to get in here at the ground level, and really appreciate that. But now they're going to start seeing a lot of the services come online, and what can be done to take advantage of that. So joining now, I mean, you'll be joining at a great time.
Totally. For sure. And they're going to be notified of the new add-ons with the new releases via email. What's another place they can find?
So you can. That's the other thing. So you can apply and pay the application fee, and then go through the process, and you get the ID card, or you can just register with rns.id, and you'll be added to our mailing list. We have about 96,000 people on the mailing list, and I believe most of them are, they're waiting to see if the time is right for them to actually go through with the entire application.
Mm-hmm. Wow, very, very exciting. And I believe that also, as a reward of these early adopters, Jay, in the future, they are going to be the ones that receive the most perks, right? It's like, oh, if you got it in 2023.
No, definitely. So we have a Voyager Pass program. It's and they get there's a point system that's explained also in the website. So sponsoring someone to the program, getting them to sign up, you get so many points, and as the program's growing, we're getting more vendors and sponsors to it. So right now you can use your points. I think there's Turkish Airlines allows you to use your points to get discounted plane tickets. There's some hotels and other agencies and organizations that'll honor the point system and give you discounts for travel and different things that digital nomads like to take advantage of.
Yeah, I could also see in the website 20% off some hotels as well that you might be partnering with. You're doing a great job with that, because you are not just giving the residency, you're also giving the whole package of what you mentioned, the fast Wi-Fi, the safety, then the discounts, the partnership with hotels so they can stay there for longer, Airbnb,
Yes.
Good job with that.
So that's the other thing I forgot to mention. So the hotels in Palau, if you have a digital residency ID card, you're charged the local rate, the same rate as a Palauan would be charged for staying at the hotel. So that's one benefit of it. Also, when you go to do a lease or short-term rental, say you want to stay for the 6 months and take advantage of living like a Palauan, your digital residency ID card, is accepted and recognized that you're part of Palau. So they're more amenable to giving you the lease. You're not just another tourist who could leave at any time. It's a little bit of a added benefit.
Sounds excellent. And then the final part is the banking. You don't have central bank, but how easy it is after you have the ID, then you have the company. how easy it is, or what's the next move to get some banking there in Palau? Is there something that you would recommend in
So
order to
yeah, no,
receive
we
this money
have.
tax free, etc.?
Yeah, if yeah, that's something that's going to be. We're waiting for the Financial Institution Commission to write the digital asset regulation, and it's going to take into account the digital residency program. We're also piloting a stable coin right now, which is it's a one-for-one tokenization of the U.S. dollar. It's just a way to more easily and conveniently move small amounts of U.S. dollars around Palau. There's only 3 ATMs on the island for 20-some thousand people, so you can imagine the lines on payday. People still go in and stand in line for ATMs or stand in line at the bank to withdraw cash. And if you're living in some of the outer lying islands, that can be pretty cumbersome, for the underbanked, and there's a lot of unbanked people. So they rely on people with bank accounts who can go and get that money, and then there's a lot of cash that changes hands. And this is just we're trying to find a way to make it easier to transfer those small amounts of cash around and spend it at the stores. If you have relatives overseas, it's a way you could transfer money back and forth. And then eventually what we would like is if you're a digital nomad and you go to Palau, instead of it would be possible that instead of using your credit cards or ATM cards or whatever while you're living in Palau, you just download the wallet app, download or exchange your national currency for Palau stablecoin, and then you can use Palau stablecoin while you're on the island. And when you leave, redeem it back for your national currency.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all. That's very long term. We're just right now we have a limited pilot that we're looking at launching in March, and it's just to see if Palauans can transfer the money, the stablecoin amongst each other, and if they can spend it at we have 2 retailers that are participating. So the Palauans go, they spend it. And then the retailer, their concern, of course, is we just saw inventory walk out the door, and then we have stablecoin. When are we going to get our U.S. dollars into our bank account? So it's a very limited pilot just to test that aspect of it, and then depending on how it goes, we'll make a recommendation to the president and the Congress on maybe doing another pilot, and then. At some point in the future, hopefully, if successful, we'll do a full implementation.
Yeah, sounds very, very good. We'll be taking a similar route to El Salvador, like, for example, adopting not just the Palau stablecoin, but maybe Bitcoin or other tokens or coins on the Ethereum blockchain, given that you are partnering, you have a relationship with Vitalik.
That's another thing we're waiting on, that digital asset regulation. So Binance and a couple of other exchanges have visited Palau, and they want to do something like a Binance Pay, where instead of paying, it'll allow digital nomads and tourists to pay with their cryptocurrency. The hotels and the vendors and the dive shops, the stores, they'll get U.S. dollars, but you can walk in, use your Binance Pay app. Pay, it's your crypto being spent. They get the US dollars, which is what they want, or if they want, they can get crypto.
Yeah,
it's up to them, right? So it's all about that economic freedom, the freedom to use whatever form of currency you want to pay for things that you want to make your life better. And that's so those are things that the digital asset regulation are going to clarify and what's involved. I think a lot of the scrutiny and concern is around the anti-money laundering and making sure that we're compliant. And because to use the U.S. dollar in Palau, there's several different organizations, including the World Bank, IMF, FDIC, all these regulatory agencies with have concerns about risk and making sure that none of these programs are providing bad actors a way to wash money through the Palau government and the Palau system. And so far, we've been very, very successful in preventing any of that.
Yes, very exciting. Everything that's already there, and even more exciting what's to come. As we mentioned, the best way to get started is RNS.ID. It's going to be linked down here below. And also, I would recommend you're a great ambassador, by the way, Jay, of Palau, because you share about, I'm checking here your Twitter profile, about food, about cybersecurity, about the islands. It's like you really love the country.
No, I do. I absolutely do.
Yeah.
It's my home. And I'm always very happy to go back, very sad to leave, and looking forward to moving there with my family for the rest of my life.
Yes, excellent. Is there any final message that you like to share with the audience? Something that we haven't touched on, and you'd be like, "Oh, I want to share this right now." This final message.
Oh no, certainly. First, the first thing, if there are any RNS ID early adopters listening, thank you very much for your participation. Thanks for giving us the chance to prove the merits of the program. Second, I would just say thank you for your time and giving us a platform to talk about not just the program but Palau and the different benefits and just the way share the Palauan way of life, and hopefully if there's digital nomads out there that are looking for something different from Europe and the cold weather and the aggressive neighbor that's doing stuff over there now, or the Caribbean, and you want to see a different part of the globe, Palau is an awesome, perfect place to experience that. So thank you.
Yes, thank you as well for your time, for your passion, talking about Palau, for all the richness in details of everything you shared, your generosity. And always the last question here in this podcast is, who would you like to be our next guest in here? Who do you have in mind that you say, you know what, it would be great to have on the show?
Oh, I think my boss would be really either my boss or maybe the president of Palau. I could ask them and see
what's their name? Your boss?
President Sural Whips, and my boss, the Minister of Finance, is Caleb Udui.
Perfect. So yeah, we can talk with them, and if they want to come to the show to give add more richness to this conversation we had today.
No,
would
definitely.
Be a pleasure. Would be a pleasure.
Oh, and one alibi, the CEO of Cryptic Labs. There are we have our operating agreement with them. They're our industry partner. Very knowledgeable. He's very on the technical side. But he can explain more of the mechanisms of the blockchain and how it's being leveraged.
That would be awesome, because there are a lot of tech people traveling the world, digital nomads, global citizens. Yeah. So they would for sure enjoy that episode. Yeah, that would be great. Again, thank you so much for being here, Jay, and to everybody listening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for tuning in to the show. Again, if you have any recommendations, you can reach us out. You can reach Jay out. I'm going to link everything in the description below. RNS.ID as well for the PALAU Residency. You can, hey, Mikel, bring this new guest. Send me a Twitter, put it in a comment, send me a DM. We are always there to bring guests that allow us to be more sovereign and to be more extraordinary every year, to build a bit more of this lifestyle. Until the next episode, ladies and gentlemen, be extraordinary. Adieu.